Now listen to the interview again, this time without any pauses. Remember, you will have 1 minute after the second listening to check all your answers.
Well, here I am standing on the stern of the Patrick Colquhoun in the shadow of Tower Bridge. With me today is the present head of the River Police, Chief Inspector Tom Pine. Chief Inspector, could you tell us a little about the organisation of the River Police and their duties?
Certainly. We now have 16 boats in the Thames Division and 104 officers. We patrol in all 54 miles of the Thames, from Staines to Dartford Creek. And we also police all waterways, lakes and rivers in the London area.
That sounds like quite a task.
Yes, it is. And London is still the busiest port in Britain. It carries 55 million tonnes of cargo and sees 30,000 ship movements a year.
Like your fleet, I'm sure your duties will have changed over the years.
Of course. Today, we're especially interested in cracking down on gun runners from the former countries of the Eastern Bloc. We also have an elite 4-man unit trained to military standards that has been developed to deal with drug smugglers and terrorists. Anti-terrorist units also protect the Houses of Parliament. The buildings are right on the river, you know.
Are there many places like that which need special protection?
Well, other specially protected buildings on the riverside are the offices of MI5 and MI6. Then there's the Millennium Dome. Special patrols are currently being trained to guard it because it is expected to attract the attention of terrorists and extremists of various kinds.
So, you have to do a lot of patrolling. Doesn't it become boring sometimes going up and down the river?
Oh no, there's such a variety of matters that require our attention. This unit is quite unlike any other. At a recent meeting, we discussed all sorts of unbelievable things, including missing crabs and what to do about the children who catch these crabs from the river, selling them to restaurants, even though they are full of parasites and completely inedible.
Look over there. They nearly collided, didn't they? We've certainly seen a constant flow of craft, big and small, passing up and down the river.
Yes, the ever-increasing traffic. That's a problem. Everyone thinks the river belongs to them, from the huge dredgers removing mud and sand from the bottom of the river to the guy who bought his little boat at the car boot sale. They're all out there, and they have no idea of the dangers. There are children in canoes heading towards a huge heavy barge train coming through, and those kids don't realise it takes ages to slow the thing down. But there's no requirement for anyone to know anything about the law, or even simple rules for sea traffic.
And whenever something happens, you have to be there.
Oh yes. We rescue something like 1,000 craft in trouble every year, and save about 100 people from drowning. Some are attempted suicides, I'm afraid, but others are those who have had a good night out downing several pints and have decided they would enjoy a dip in the water. Each year we pull out an Australian who thinks he can make it across, but no one can.
But why? Can't he swim?
Maybe, but even the strongest swimmers can only stay afloat in the Thames. The undercurrents are so strong that it's impossible to make headway. Anyone unlucky enough to fall in may find it just as impossible to climb up the smooth and slippery river walls to safety. And conditions are just as bad at low tide. Then you can sink in the mud.
What's the worst part of your job?
Well, I mentioned the suicides before, and accidents happen too. 1 corpse a week on average is fished out of the murky waters.
Does that make it difficult to get new recruits for the River Police then?
No, not at all. Rather the contrary, I'd say. Jobs in the Thames Division are greatly sought after by Met officers who must have served at least 2 years on dry land before they can apply. Then they must pass a preliminary swimming test before being trained in marine craft, pilotage and navigation.
I understand you've headed the division for almost 3 years. Have there been any bad accidents in that period?
No, we've been lucky for a number of years now. There are long periods when nothing really dramatic happens, nothing out of the ordinary, I mean. The last disaster was in 1989, with the sinking of the Marchioness. 51 people drowned in that accident, and another 80 were saved. 50 of them by men from the division. Fortunately, there are very few accidents on the Thames, Prevention is the key to it, and we're very good at that.
I'm very grateful that you've taken time to talk to me, and good luck with your important job in the future too.